Welcome to Guilty Pleasures, the podcast number 1. Today we're drinking American Vintage tea. Excellent product. Not too sugary, just perfect. It's good. We're eating a couple edibles. Yummy. And a cookie. Let's see. Blue Slushy. This is made by a company called Gas Gang. They're disposable pens. They call them disposable, but they don't tell you is if you turn the end off, you can see that there's a charger port in there. That's not advertised. You can refill them with your own juice. This end comes off too. You don't get cartridges, but if you get your own juice, you can take this top off and put it into this. There's like a full gram in here. I don't think they have permission from Blue Slushy to use their logo. I'm going to read the back to you now. The perfect strain on a hot afternoon or a night to take you to the moon. Blue Slushy is the child of the blue cookies and sunset sherbet and will leave you completely relaxed with its bright, fruity, and citrus flavors. It's perfect for anyone. So, go out and get yourself one of these. You can order them online. You can buy them not at government stores, but you know, shady, Indian Reserve. You know what I'm saying? You just hit it. Maybe so because you want. They get you wrapped though. They do, they get you wrapped. I also have a root beer one right here. I'll read you this one. In 1893, Gandhi is starting to stand up to the British. The New York Stock Exchange crashes. Grover Cleveland wins the U.S. election. Huge events occurred in 1893. Biggest events of them all. The first root beer float. Won't believe us? Go get one, and then you'll understand. We educate while we get you baked. Oh, isn't that wonderful? Let me adjust this a little bit here. I think. Sorry, the technical difficulties there. Alright, I'm just getting used to this, so bear with me here. Okay, so that's that. We got those two products, which maybe they'll be our sponsor. The American Vintage will be our sponsor. We'll wait and see. Okay, I'm gonna put these down. So, we're in Ontario here. So this is Sarnia, Ontario. I'm in Sarnia. We're on the border of Detroit. No, not Detroit, sorry, the border of Michigan. Sorry. Port Huron is on the other side of the border. COVID reopening stage 2. The date is July 1st. There's tons of fireworks going on out there. I'm sure people are wild in the streets. I don't know a whole lot of people in the city, so I wish I was out there too. But I'm not, so. And I don't know. Fireworks are a big waste of money. There's no public fireworks right now, like huge ones, so everybody's buying their own and setting them off in their backyards, which sucks, man, because fucking fireworks are so fucking expensive. One day, you know. Canada's going through a lot of political garbage right now, and I don't really get into that because this isn't a podcast where I talk politics too much. During this whole COVID thing, you know, I went through everything. Conspiracy theories of communism and conspiracy theories of population control and conspiracy theories of, you know, there's so many wild ones out there. And societal, our governmental structures changed and they're using COVID to do that. Some of that could be true, but I doubt it. It's just a pandemic that got way out of control. And yeah, that's enough. That's all I want to talk about that. This American Vintage is really good. Cheers. To Canada. I'm not sure whether I'm proud of you or not, but I'm proud to be a Canadian. I'm not proud of all the crap that's going on here right now, but I've always been proud to be a Canadian. Alright, well that was interesting. Interesting little tidbit of conversation. Alright, what else is new? I got this. Card party. These are all shot glasses, man. Fucking hey. I'm gonna be drinking out of these one of these days. Maybe tonight. We'll see. You got vodka and beer and edibles and oil pens. And yeah, I'll be good tonight. Guarantee. Count on that. Even been some real trying times. This whole COVID thing started last year in March. And whenever, that's when people noticed it. I was working 2 jobs at the time, living in a little town called Goderich. I was doing 2 shitty minimum wage jobs that had good tips. And I was, with the tips, I was able to save a bunch of money, and so I wasn't spending a lot because I wasn't going out. Nothing was open. All these lockdowns, and nobody knew what the fuck was going on about this virus, and what the future held for it, and how long it would last, and how many. We all kind of predicted there'd be 3 waves, because if you look in the past with other pandemics, the more serious ones, they all had 3 waves. And the first one was small, the second one was huge, and then the third one was big, but not as big as the second. And I think that's the case here. I think maybe the third one was pretty much equal or a bit worse than the second one, but they were close. I don't believe a lot of stuff I heard in the media. I think it's a lot of hooey, a lot of bullshit, a lot of fear mongering. I do believe it's real, but I don't believe it's not. I don't want to go too deep into this, but it's been a rough time for everybody. And my father passed during this pandemic. Got very sick, and not from COVID, but he ended up in a nursing home refusing treatment. Passed. I had 2 friends pass during this, neither of them from COVID. I know a handful of people that said they had COVID. I've never met don't know anybody that has ever died from it. I did meet a woman, when I first moved here I drove cab, and I did meet a woman who said that her mother was the first one to die of COVID in Sarnia. She was like 90 something. The mother. So I don't know what to think. I'm just taking the vaccine. I'm not an anti-vaxxer. I'm taking the vaccine. I can't fucking wait to throw the mask away. It'll be sweet. Yeah, it'll be nice when this is all over. They call it the new normal. I don't know if things are never going to go completely back to normal. Things are always going to be different. Well, yeah, man. Online stuff's going to become more prevalent for sure. Paying online, doing things online, everything's going to be done online. Even though COVID's gone, everybody's vaccinated, still it's going to be a virtual world. And this all slowly plays into the someday AI will completely take over, because we have the technology now to build computers that think for themselves. We've had that for a long time, but now they're way more advanced. Elon Musk is a brilliant man. He might be the end of us, the death of us, with his brains, but he wants to go to Mars. I applaud that. I think space exploration is very important. A lot of people downplay it, say, oh, we gotta worry about what's down here on Earth. Well, maybe, but no. I think we gotta see the greater picture. That someday we may burn out our planet completely, and it'll be unlivable, and hopefully by that time we'll have the technology to move our race to the next habitable planet. It used to be in our solar system. Mars is the closest planet to ours. It does not have an atmosphere, so that we'll have to somehow make trees and plants grow on the planet so it builds up oxygen to build an atmosphere, so it'll become livable, and that can take long time. So that's why it's good that we're doing it now, to get that started before we burn out the whole world completely, if we don't do it before that. But I think it's super ambitious. And I would applaud the brilliant mind of Elon Musk. But we will wait and see on that one. Yeah, but it's been tragic. A lot of mental illness. A close friend of mine has some mental issues. Well, a lot of people have mental issues or divorces, suicides. I don't know how many suicides I heard of during this whole thing. The people I know, or people not really people I know, but friends of people I know, and people local, you know. You hear about them in the news all the time when they're happening. I lived in Goddard, and there was like 3 of them within a tiny span. One guy jumped in front of a transport, one guy drove his car off a cliff, and then there was another one, I can't remember what happened. But yeah, it's ridiculous. People didn't know what to think, they didn't know what was going on. Our government wasn't telling us anything, and to no fault of theirs, because they didn't know. They were still trying to figure it out and understand it, and they didn't know what the hell. They didn't know it was the SARS virus. Like, the coronavirus is the SARS virus. I watched an old Law and Order episode. I saw it on TV the other week, and it was probably from the 90s. I don't even know. But they mentioned about a woman who worked in a lab, and she was accused of secretly smuggling out the coronavirus, or SARS. They called it both in that episode. And when I watched it, I was like, fuck. Yeah. And they were saying it was deadly, but you would recover from it in this episode. So we've known about this virus a long time, and it's just, there's different variants of it. There's one that's a little more deadly apparently, but they say the needle protects us from it. We may get a little sick from the more deadly variant, but as long as we're vaccinated, we should be fine. But we don't know that. We're still so early on in the stages of all this. The future is up in the air right now. So that's all I gotta say about that. I'll probably ramble about it more. Who knows? It doesn't really matter. But as you know, there's this whole thing, and now it's finally, it seems like it's coming to a halt. But then you think, you still gotta get vaccinated every year, they're saying. And they say you can still spread it even though you have it, the vax, but you can still spread it and kill people that haven't taken the vax. So basically they're saying if you're an anti-vaxxer and you die, doesn't matter. You didn't follow the rules, so you refused it, so fuck you. Basically, you know, the anti-vaxxers are shit out of luck because they didn't do the vaccine. You know, and we're supposed to not care about the anti-vaxxers. That's what it feels like. We're not supposed to care about the anti-vaxxers because they just did that to themselves. You know, they turned down the vaccine and they died, so we shouldn't feel bad for them. And that's not really what they're saying, but they're not saying that out in so many words, but that's kind of feels the way that they're gearing the campaign. Like there's a vaccine campaign going on right now. If you watch TV, I don't watch much, but I see it. And there's a big, take your vaccine campaign, and they're saying, oh, you know, it's not harmful. You know, and all these happy look people are doing it. They're dancing around just like old, you know, Coca-Cola or Nike commercials where you put on your Nikes and you can dance and you're happy. You get your vaccine, you dance and you're happy. You know, it's all fodder, media fodder. Because the truth be told, we don't know. And there's these side effects, there's like blood clots, but then people say, oh, there's so few that it doesn't really matter. They took the one off the market, so if there's so few of them, why are they taking it off the market? So many questions, right? There's still questions. And I still don't fully understand it completely. Because it's like the Bible. Like, none of it makes sense. This contradicts this contradicts that. I don't know. I guess only time will tell. That's all. Everything's up in the air. It's one of those weird times that the Earth is going through a lot of changes. A lot of shit's going down in the world. You know, weather changes. And this in China, like I think China wants to be the superpower. I think they're trying to kill, like basically take out the states, but they're doing it underhanded by using viruses and fentanyl. You know, that sounds insane, but I just think there's something to that because everything bad seems to. I'm not bad. Understand me. This isn't China in general. I'm not generalizing China. I'm just saying there's some bad eggs in China that are trying to take out the U.S. through biological and psychological warfare. That is happening. I guarantee it. I'm not going to cheers that. Oh, that's tasty. Damn, that's tasty. So, yeah, I do want to get into podcasting. So obviously, I've done like little audio ones and little silly ones on my phone. This is the first time actually, well, I've had webcams before, but this is actually the first time I bought a webcam for this purpose. I haven't had one in a long time. So I thought, well, I bought it. This is just a cheap one. But it seems to work alright. You know, I'll edit this video and after and see how it comes out. And then, well, which you're already watching now, because I've already uploaded it to YouTube. So, but yeah, I still haven't figured out the framework of what I want, what kind of podcast I want for sure. I think I want like a talking podcast, like a talk show type podcast, interaction with other people. I don't know what kind of guests I'm going to have, maybe some lunatics, but at first, I don't know. Who knows? But I would like this to work. Eventually, you know, upgrade the camera, the microphone, the sound. This room, I'm going to turn it into like a podcasting looking place. It's going to look really cool. Right now it's bare, and we can slowly, we'll see it episode by episode. I slowly add things, right? Cool things. You know, I like a lot of cool shit, so it'll look cool in the end. But I figure in the meantime, why not make podcasts and slowly develop into something and document it this way. Works for me. Wow, this has been really serious. You know, I did want this to be like a comedic podcast and serious. No, and getting fucked up. You know, I can advertise weed on here. I can smoke weed. It's legal in Ontario. That's another thing about Ontario. Our government controls our weed. It's not like that in the States, I do not believe. Right? Sam, I am. I think in the States, anybody, any entrepreneur can say, okay, I'm going to start a weed business, get my license, write a license. In Canada, all weed has to be government grown, approved by the government, and then sold out of government stores, sort of like liquor stores. You're selling their product, but they're allowed to make up their own names, the people who start these stores. So I guess in a way it's not quite like the liquor store, but it's... There's liquor stores, I have to call it the LCBO. They can't name it something else. Say, oh, booze is us, you know, or something. You know, they can't. But weed, you can. You go, oh, the blue joint, you know, whatever. You know, you can fucking... So... But still... government controlled. So, no. That's another thing that's happened here. The weed thing. It should have been legal. Should have never been illegal, to be honest. As we smoked weed for years, all through high school. I grew up with parents and people around me, the older people, our peers, not our peers, but our elders. Well, most of them were anti-pot, or if they did do it, it was deep secret. You know, yeah. And it's still that way. There's still a stigma around this stupid plant. I love it. You know, everybody loves it. Not everybody, but a lot of the population. And it's like, why was it hidden like that and lied about for so many years? I saw the whole thing on Anslinger, Harry Anslinger, and fucking his other partner, and their whole Reefer Madness. I've seen Reefer Madness, the whole Reefer Madness campaign. And just, you know, like they basically said, oh, if you smoke pot, this is back in the 30s, right, black and white movie. Oh, if you smoke marijuana, you know, you'll kill your family with a hatchet, and you'll fucking rape your women, and fucking, it's just madness, right? And people believed it. That was the thing, people bought it. It was a campaign, an anti-marijuana campaign. Kind of like we're having a coronavirus vaccine campaign right now. Now, that goes to show you right there. Can you trust our government to tell us the truth? Go back to the campaign of Reefer Madness. How far from the left from the truth was that? A long way. So, you get what I'm saying there. The analogy that our government lies to us, basically, is what I'm saying. And they don't feel bad about it, and they don't apologize for it. They do what they have to do to get what they want. And that's what our government does, and many other governments. All governments. They don't care who they step on or shit on. There's no honest politicians. I don't give a fuck who you're quoting, saying, oh, well, this guy. No. All politicians are crooked in some way, shape, or form. I'm not saying they're all bad people, but they all do what they have to do to get to the top, and they don't mind stepping on a few heads and dishing out some lies to get there. People do what they have to do to get to the top. That's the whole goal of life, is what can I accomplish and how high can I go? And most of the time, you do what you gotta do, whether that's lying or stealing or cheating. Not always stealing. Some people steal, some people don't. Who knows? Okay, that was American Vintage. Putting that one down. I've done that one. Moving on. Here I'm drinking fucking shitty, fucking fruity drinks. But they're cheap. I don't like beer a whole lot anymore. It just blows my gut. I got a big gut. I got fat during COVID too, just like a lot of people. I try to get out there and exercise, but it's tough, man. I'm not working right now. I'm getting the old, they call it the Justin Bucks, the Serb. I worked, but I got pogey, but then the Serb tops it up to a little more, right, so you can actually live. Okay, this is Mike's Hard Black Cherry Lemonade. You should be our sponsor. Mike's, big company. Love this shit. The best. Ooh, look at the color of it. It's just like red goodness. Cheers. Oh yeah. I like that. Okay. What else is in the news? Dead children. Okay, where'd they find that? In Saskatchewan, on the Indian Reserve, they're finding all these dead children behind schools from way back into the turn of the century up to who knows when. A lot of people are talking about this and becoming anti-Canadian over it. I don't know what to think of that either. I'm not even going to talk about that one. You look that one up. Even if you're watching from some other country, look that up. Ontario, Saskatchewan, Ontario, babies, bodies of babies dug up behind school, bodies of children, whatever. Google that and read the whole thing. It's insane. Okay. I like that stuff. It's really good, man. Okay. What else to talk about today? We're at 23 minutes. Alright. Maybe we can ramble for another 7 minutes, and then we'll make this my first podcast, a half-hour podcast. That probably sounds pretty good right about now. Nice good half hour in there. Yeah, half hour wasting your time out there in computer land. Yeah, some of my favorite podcasts are, Rogan. You know what the first podcast I ever watched was Doug Benson. Getting Doug with High. And that was the first podcast I ever saw. And I used to watch it religiously. And it'd be Doug Benson, and he'd bring on, you've probably seen it, or you can look it up after this. But it's really good. He's got some amazing guests on. Jack Black's on one episode, and he gets too high, he has to leave. He just sits at a table and brings celebrities in, and it's all full of vape pens and pipes full of weed, and indicas, sativa, and bongs, and all this weed shit. And right at 420, everybody smokes. Man, and then they get really baked and talk crazy. It was so entertaining. Shout out to Doug Benson, good job. I would watch it all the time. I'm just like, wow, this shit's fucking funny. And great, because I would be sitting there watching it, smoking weed, at the same time I'm watching them smoke weed, felt like I was sitting there at the table with them, right? So that was great. You know, he had like Joey Diaz. I love his podcast, The Church of What's Happening Now. He's a crazy motherfucker, that guy. Cocksucker. Theo Vaughn. Oh, that guy's hilarious, dude. No, but if you don't know who Theo Vaughn is, he's a comedian. Look him up. He's got a podcast, but also he's a stand-up comedian. He's hilarious. Doug Stanhope. He is crazy podcast. You never know when it was coming on. It would just pop up and be like halfway through, and everybody would be drunk. It was great. He's another guy. If you watch the most controversial, funny stand-up out there, watch Doug Stanhope. That is hilarious. Some other good ones of note are what the Australian guy, Jim Jeffries. He's the bunny. Bill Burr's my all-time favorite. He's got a Monday morning podcast where he just talks. He only does it by himself, which I think is great. And that's what inspired me. Is like a famous guy like Bill Burr. I was thinking, well, if you're gonna make a podcast, at least a decent one, you're gonna need guests and fancy cameras and microphones and sound systems and a cool looking sound room and whatever. But no, like he just does one. I don't even think there's video of it. There might be, but it's just him at a table with another guy, dude sitting there with mics. Nothing fancy about it, and he just well, no, there's no other dude actually. It's usually by himself. He's just sitting there in his house, I believe, and he'll just start talking about shit, random shit, movies, music. I love it. He's an old '80s metal fan, so he'll talk about whatever's in the news, whatever's crazy, and then put the old Bill Burr twist on it. He's fucking funny, man. It's hilarious. He's my favorite comedian. He the stuff he says, he's very controversial too, but it's funny. Rogan, I like Rogan. A lot of people don't like Rogan. I do. He's the most famous podcast out there. And he's just a chimp who brings smart people on and regurgitates information. I'm not putting down Joe Rogan. I love your shit, but you admit that's what you do. You guys are great guests. Entertaining guy. Love that one. Now you're on Spotify, which is great because I listen to it in my car. Bluetooth it. Yeah, fuck. And then, I know podcasts started before Rogan and Benson. I mean, there was, like, Tom Green was doing podcasts way back. Those are insane. They were after the Tom Green show flopped off MTV or whatever. And then it was him in his house with a podcast, and he just invited like crazy people on, and they'd all just get wasted, and everybody was drunk out of their minds by the end of the podcast, and it was hilarious. But that was before podcasting was a thing. Like, I think Tom Green, there's a couple people that pioneered that whole podcast movement. And you can go back as far as, if you're doing a comparison there, you can go back as far as fucking, because even Tom Green, before he got famous on MTV, he lived in Canada, Ottawa, I believe, and he did a local public access show on a stupid radio station. Somebody famous saw it and then got to MTV. But those little local stations, those little, were sort of like primitive podcasts where people could do what they want. They just went in the studio and did it and put it on public access. It only got to a small group, within the radius of that little tower that lived, would be the only people that would see it, if they even, but he got lucky and then it went international, right? But that was just a fluke. That's how we know Tom Green today, I guess. But anyway, this is it, man. It's coming on 29/18. This podcast is almost over, and I'm gonna keep drinking, and I'm gonna keep smoking, maybe take another edible, and then I may pop back on to make another one tonight yet. We'll see how the night goes. See what happens. Alright, bitches. I'm gonna say goodnight. Cheers and good night. Peace out. Goodbye, fuckers. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Bye.